Hey guys, it's Julia and welcome back to my channel, and for today's video I'm going to be doing a book review, and I'm going to be reviewing and discussing today End of Watch by Stephen King. This is the third and final book in the Bill Hodges trilogy, which the first book was Mr. Mercedes and then the second book was Finders Keepers, which if you want to know more about the overall kind of story of this trilogy, I'll link my review up on the screen for why you should read those two books. So yes, non-spoilery thoughts. I thought this was a good conclusion. I was not really looking into any synopsises for this book before its release. Like I wasn't really like looking at the plot. Like obviously I knew how the second book ended, but I just didn't look up any like synopsises or descriptions or anything on this book in particular. It turned out to be a little bit different than I thought, which not necessarily is a bad thing. It's just the other two books resolved around kind of like, one is like a crime where a guy hits a bunch of people with his car and it's about all this stuff that goes on with that, and then the next one's about a guy who kills an author, and then the story goes on from there. And those were like those gritty, realistic, dark murders, and this one was a really different. We had like a paranormal-ish element in here, and it involved around an electronic device called a Zap-It, which looks similar to this, kind of like a Game Boy kind of thing, and you learn more about that throughout the book. But it's just interesting because usually I'm not a big fan of technology in my books, if that makes sense. Like I don't mind futuristic technology, like if it can be interesting, but or like modern technology I don't really look for in books. I kind of avoid it, but I did think the aspect was done well. It was a bit different than I was originally expecting, but I did love seeing my characters again. Some of my favorites like Bill and Holly and just everybody. It was great seeing everybody. This book was really interesting, and of course I would just suggest reading it if you've already started the trilogy, or if you haven't started it, I'd recommend starting it for sure. End of Watch wasn't a disappointment for me personally. I also found that as soon as I started it, I was flying through it without even realizing it, and I was like, I just didn't want to end. Like I wanted to like save it. I was trying to like slow myself down because I just wanted to save this, and I'm still kind of not over this. What happened at the end, I'm still not really over that, but I just thought this was such an interesting book. And usually, again, technology and certain paranormal tie-ins don't really appeal to me to a certain degree, if you know what I mean. But this one, I think they did it in like a good way, and it was really interesting the way they did that. So End of Watch 3.75 stars out of 5, or around 4, something like that. Yeah, it's a little bit lower than the other ones, not that much lower, but slightly lower. It's just because of the whole Zap-It thing I wasn't too into. It was interesting and I thought it was done in a good way. It's not usually my thing, if you know what I mean. I just love these characters so much, and some of their snarky responses, and like I can't with some of them. It was really sad saying goodbye to some of my favorite characters ever, but I mean it had to come to a close, and I'm still kind of in denial of everything, but I will always remember these characters, and these stories are so great. And yes, so those are my thoughts on End of Watch by Stephen King. If you've read this book, let me know what you thought of it down below, as well as if you've read the first two books and all that jazz. And yeah, I will talk to you guys soon with a new video. Bye.